Susan, welcome and welcome back. I know your company well. I grew up in Arlington. I know the purple trucks. They're all over the place. You're losing money. Have you had to lay off people yet?
Hey, Tyler, good to see you again. Unfortunately not. We have not had to lay off people yet because this is a partial shutdown, so the Hill is still open. So fortunately, no furloughs as of yet.
So what kinds of events are being postponed or delayed? Are they government events or are they private events that would attract government people or maybe take place at venues like the Smithsonian, the Air and Space Museum, or other places that are shut?
Exactly. It's twofold. It's the activity that's going on at the Hill. There isn't that much activity. Now, if you remember, we were shut down in 2013 in October, which is a peak month for us. January, not so much. So we're seeing an impact in January on the Hill, but not as much as we did in October. But the Smithsonian is an important part of it. We've got huge events that are taking place in January that people are just canceling. And they're in town specifically for events, and they're not going to reschedule it, and we're not going to be able to take them elsewhere. So it's a combination of both the government and the social.
At what point would you have to lay people off?
It's hard to say. We really hate to do that, Tyler. I mean, again, we are partially open, so there is activity going on. And the beauty with events is that if there isn't an event, I'm not hiring any of the people to work the events. But we are still up and running back at headquarters and on the Hill.
So as you look at the major drop-offs, 50% at the House of Representatives, Department of Transportation off 70%, 50% at the cafes you run in the Pentagon. I know you're a private company. I don't expect you to put sharp points on these numbers, but what percent of your total revenue has been affected by this shutdown? In other words, what percent of it is tied to the government in one way or another?
Yeah, I think it's about 30% for us. And again, fortunately, it's January, and it's typically a slower month for us, and things are a little bit not as high impact. So it's about 30% for us on our total revenue.
So what are you hearing from other members of the YPO about how this shutdown has affected them and their business?
Yeah, good question. I actually was at an event last night with a lot of my fellow YPOers that PwC was sponsoring for us about opportunity zones. And it's the service companies that are impacted. For example, one of my fellow YPOers owns a hotel out in Dulles. And so the TSA bought the entire hotel out. And now they had to back off because they're not doing any TSA tactical training. Parking, my colleague who has a parking company, he hasn't gotten any signed contracts for 2019. For highway construction, it's a slow period for them, but in order for them to ramp up, there is going to be some lag time with permitting. And for us, the cash flow, we still haven't gotten paid from our government contracts from November and December, and we're quite concerned about that.